I don't know. There's no gimmicks that the church has to offer you that will make us feel the authenticity of love more than that reality, that truth right there. And so again, this is paramount. This is the core piece of our identity. This is the epicenter. This is a quintessential piece of our identity. This is grace. We will always struggle with grace if we struggle with hearts of gratitude. What does that mean? That means that I believe at some point, at some time, I can do this on my own. We will struggle with grace if we feel like on our own we can achieve greatness, and we can achieve holiness, and we can achieve righteousness on our own by our own works. So if we struggle with this piece of our identity, we always feel like we can earn our way to Jesus. We can earn God's love. We will always feel that way, and we will always struggle with it. Never makes sense. We are completely worthless. There's a reason why we were created from the ground, from dust. We never fully escape that reality. The thing that brings worth into Adam in the garden is the fact that the scriptures say that God breathed into Adam. That word is the pneuma, it's the breath, it's his spirit. Adam became who Adam was because it was God's breath inside him. Without God's breath, without God's spirit, when you breathe into Adam, he's just dust. He's just dust. He's worthless. You and I, apart from Christ, are worthless. And until we figure that out, until we stop believing that we can become something on our own, the scriptures will never make sense. Jesus will never make sense. Grace will never make sense. The gospel is meaningless. And all this is just rhetoric. It's just a cycle. A royal priesthood, here's the picture of the royal priesthood. In a royal court, you've got the king. Under the king, you've got a prince. Under the prince, depending on the context, you've got a whole bunch of other subjects who are still in the royal court. And so if they're still inside the royal court, every single person in the royal court, literally the image that's created, has instant access to the king. A royal priesthood. We're considered royal priests. What this means biblically is that we have instant access to God through Jesus. And that's what Jesus does in the New Testament compared to what was in the Old Testament. We have instant access to God, instant access to our Creator through Jesus. Now, not only that, that comes with it, is authority. So not only are those in the royal court have access to the king, but we also have authority of the king. Now, we don't have authority on our own. We have authority, or sent in God's name. This is why in Luke chapter 9, Jesus sends out the 12. And what does he say? I give you my power and authority to cast out demons, to preach good news, to do everything that I've done, to say everything that I've said. Luke chapter 9. Luke chapter 10, Jesus sends out the 72. He tells them, go. Matthew chapter 28, the Great Commission. What I love about the Great Commission is the verse that comes before that oftentimes we neglect to read. Because all power and authority on heaven and earth has been given to me. Go and make disciples. We have instant access as the priesthood and authority. It is not okay for the church to walk around timid and shy. We have instant access and instant authority. We know the truth of the gospel. We must walk in courage. This is the characteristic of confidence. When you know your identity found in Jesus, and Jesus alone, you're confident. You have grace, you understand grace, thank you Jesus for grace, and now I have confidence because of who I am through Christ. Because I'm a royal priest. A holy nation. What does this mean? To be holy means to be set apart, to be consecrated, to be used of God. We're called to be a holy nation. This goes all the way back to Exodus chapter 19. I'll read it really fast, starting in verse 5. Now, if you obey me fully and keep my covenants, which, by the way, a side note, this is incredibly interesting to me. If you obey me and keep my covenants, all the time in Scripture, just mirrored right next to it, paralleled with God keeping his promises, with God keeping his covenant with his people, is always interlinked with obedience. We cannot escape. God says over and over again, how will they know me? Those who keep my commands. Those who obey my commands. Now here's what we know about obedience. Obedience, the root of obedience is love. It's not burdensome. It's not burdensome. This is what I love. When we recognize, go back to last week's conversation, when we recognize that everything from God is a gift, everything from God is a gift, none of this is burdensome. Which should give us a different understanding of Matthew 11:28. All who are burdened and weary, come to me and I will give you rest. Verse 29, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. None of this is burdensome because everything is a gift from God. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you, speaking of the nation of Israel, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. All the way from Exodus chapter 19, God keeps his covenant, God keeps his promise, all the way as a foreshadow through scriptures that through Jesus, you and I can still become a holy nation. That America, in everything that she's flawed in, that we still can become a holy nation through Christ. It says, we'll go back to 1 Peter. In chapter 1, starting verse 14, as obedient children, do not conform to the evil desires you had when you lived in ignorance. We're no longer ignorant. Stop living like we're ignorant. Verse 15, but just as he who called you is holy, so be holy in all you do. Verse 16, for it is written, be holy because I am holy. The point of chosen people, royal priesthood, a holy nation. The point of a holy nation, the characteristics is authenticity. If you call yourself a follower of Christ, God says, be holy because I'm holy. We will, at our core, at our DNA, what's on the inside, will come out. Luke chapter 6, verse 45. What's on the inside will come out. So what's holiness? This is brilliant. Holiness is just simply a response to God initiating with us. Because God first loved us, we respond, and our response, our life is just a life of holiness. Be holy, for I am holy. Our lives, when we wrap our life around the identity found in Christ, our life will always look like its source. And God says, be holy, for I am holy. Our life will always be a life lived in holiness. Now all of a sudden enter repentance and how often we need to repent in order to be made holy, yes. And so at this point, if you struggle with being holy, you'll struggle with worship. If you struggle with being holy, you'll struggle with worship. Why? Because worship is just simply a response to who God is. Worship is just simply a response to who God is. If we struggle with being a priesthood, we'll struggle with mission. Why? We'll struggle with living life on mission. Why? Because the priests know who they were because of who God was at work in their lives, and they simply could not live the gospel. And so at this point, 2 weeks ago, here's what I said. I said, if we were to just take those three things, is there something else you need? Is there anything else? Is there anything else? Is there anything else that you would add to your identity other than a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation? Is there anything else you would add to that identity that you think is necessary for life? Anything else? then why is it that we live like there's something else out there? Why is it that we live like there's someone else who will fill the void in the gap in our life? Or something else that will fill. If there's nothing else, then why do we live like there is? The great tragedy in life is that most of us live like something else is there. Most of us live just waiting for the labels of culture to place the desired label on us that this is necessary for identity. Sure, maybe you fill in the blank, labels, cars, money. Which we should be reminded last week. Tell the rich who's by the lazy one. Not to be arrogant, but to hold the wealth which is so and so. To hold the God who richly provides everything for our enjoyment. It's not about wealth, it's just about holding things that are temporary and uncertain. How guilty are you, how guilty am I for just consistently, constantly putting our hope in things that are so uncertain? The last thing, people belonging to God. People belonging to God. This is, again, just an illustration, just a picture of the church. Those who know that there are people belonging to God, this is characterized by rest. The people who know that they belong to God recognize that there's nothing else. There's nothing else. And so these are the people who rest. These are the people who recognize this is good. There's nothing else. This is everything. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people belonging to God, that you may declare the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His wonderful light. There's another transition word, that. You are these four things: a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people belonging to God, so that the point of identity, the point of knowing who we are, is to know what we're supposed to do. Now that we've got our identity cleared up, now that we understand our identity found in the gospel, here's what you're supposed to do. This is your identity, so that you may declare the praises of Him who called you. This word called literally means invited. That you may declare the praises of Him who invited you out of darkness and into His wonderful light. This should give us a different view of Matthew chapter 5. A city set up on top of a hill to be a light that pierces the darkness. You know your identity. You've been invited out of the darkness into His wonderful light. The picture that we get right here, the beautiful thing for the church, is that we gather to be encouraged and reminded week after week in the normal rhythms of life, week after week, of who Jesus is and who we are. The picture here is that the church gathers in its normal rhythms and is reminded of who Jesus is and who we are, so that when we leave these doors, we be the light in a world that's dark. This is your identity. And once you know who you are, your light will pierce the darkness. And it has nothing to do with you. Because it has everything to do with me working and living through you. You'll know your identity is found in the gospel. The people begin seeing Jesus in your life. You know what I'm saying? When people begin seeing Jesus active in your life, because it's different. It's not ordinary. And all of a sudden we can begin to see the big things that God has planned for us. Because we're just being ordinary, extraordinary, and not ordinary. Verse 10, once you were not a people. This is brilliant. Once you were not a people. Once you were worthless. you have no identity.